Spiritual Principles. Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. The 24th Spiritual Principle. All branches are included and exist at the root. From Tes, Part 2, Talmud Eser Sfirot. Please refer to the written materials for the text in Hebrew. And the fourth stage itself, by virtue of its reflected light, extending by 10 Sefirot, is also divided into 10 Sefirot itself, that is, into 4 stages and Keter. Since the fourth stage itself is the Keter of the returning light, or Hoser, that is, the root, and the 9 Sefirot of the returning light, which spread and rise from her, are her branches. And it is known that all branches are included and exist in the root. And therefore, in the fourth stage, there are 5 parts. That is, Keter, and 4 stages, going from the bottom to the top. To explain this very subtle aspect is enough. But first of all, it is necessary to explain where do all the pleasures and sufferings that are felt in our world come from. And you will understand this in that is known that each branch in its nature will be the same as its root. Therefore, all aspects present in the root will also be desired by the branch, and it will love them, and they will be pleasant to it. Also, the branch moves away from all aspects that are not conforming with the root, and will not tolerate them, and will hate them. And this is an immutable law. It applies to every root and its branch, without exception. And since this is the blessed one, and the blessed one is the root of all creation, therefore all aspects are included in him, the blessed one, and they reach out to us from him in direct propagation, and they smell good to us, and are pleasant to us, for our nature is close to our root, which is included in the Creator. And all aspects that are not included in him, the blessed one, and do not emanate from him in a straight line, and are the opposite of the creation itself, will be against our nature, and they will be hard for us to endure or accept. That is, we love peace, and we very much hate the aspect of movement, so much that we make no movement except to achieve peace. This is because our root is not in movement, but it is at rest in peace, and movement is not applicable to it at all, and therefore movement is against our nature. It is hateful to us, and in the same way we love wisdom and strength and wealth and all the good virtues that are in our root, since they are included in the blessed one, that he is our root. Blessed is he. And we very much hate the opposite of them, such properties like stupidity, weakness, poverty, shame, and so on. That is, since they are not completely in our root, and therefore they are disgusting and hateful to us, so that we cannot even tolerate them. However, it is necessary to investigate something here to attract by us that is not directly from him, the blessed one, but instead only from the opposite aspects to the root of creation itself. That is, something that does not pertain to the Creator. How many times have attempts been made to implement something absent from the root of the Creator? For example, fascism, communism, capitalism, religions, all group ideas without exception. They are completely irrelevant and foreign to the root. All group forms, including all their gathering in yeshivat chaverim, which are despicable for the individual soul, all these kibbutzim, all these philosophies, they have all rotted and been rotten for a simple and obvious reason that they do not come from the Creator, the highest root of all creation. The human mind, when left by itself, comes up with all sorts of group ideas, separating itself from the wisdom of the Creator, from the light of Ein Sof, and begins to build all sorts of delusions, and then it falls apart and dies in an instant. The fact is that the whole task and the role of the Jews, the chosen people, is to carry the idea of the Creator and the pure relationship between the branch and the root through all the centuries. All their sufferings are intended only for the realization of this great goal of their Father, the highest root of all creation. And this is done intentionally, because it is impossible to do it all so beautifully, spontaneously, to take and build here, but everything must go through suffering instead, because without creative suffering, no progress is possible, because there will be no assessment of their actions. A person will not appreciate what he did without suffering. And this is possible only when a person goes through suffering for the sake of bringing oneself in accordance with the highest root. And without this, it is not at all possible. In the end, everything will come to the fact that the person will be focused on the higher roots, the higher root of the branches, and eat only from the upper. But what can you compare it to? With one rich man who calls a man from the market and gives him food, and gives him drink, and gives him silver and gold every day, and every day he offers more. So you will find that this person is able to taste two tastes in these great gifts of the rich person. Two tastes which are completely different from each other. For on the one hand, he tastes tremendous pleasure, which has no end, from all the great multitude of gifts the rich person gives to him. And, on the other hand, it is difficult for him to endure so many good things, and he hesitates at the time of receiving them, which leads him to intolerance, embarrassment, shame, because the gifts received from the rich person increase each time. It is true that he derives pleasure of receiving from these gifts given by the rich person, but the burden of receiving these gifts that he tastes in these gifts does not come from the rich person who gives them to him, but instead it awakens shame in the receiver, from which is the essence of the receiver's state. Of course, it also clearly causes him to feel embarrassed, indebted, ashamed before this rich person, but not in a direct way.